Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're taking a deep dive into the beating heart of the subcontinent. We're exploring echoes of the wild, unpacking the incredibly delicate, interconnected web of India's living forests, the indigenous peoples who call them home, and the absolutely amazing wildlife within them. Now, there's a quote that says, "India's forests are more than vast collections of trees." And honestly, that completely shifts how we need to look at this. We aren't just talking about timber and leaves here. We're looking at massive, complex, breathing ecosystems. These environments support millions of people and act as a living vault, preserving cultures that have existed for centuries.
Section 1. India's living ecosystems. Section 2. The Indigenous Guardians. For indigenous groups like the Gond, Bil, Santhal, Khasi, Munda, and Toda, the forest isn't just a place they live next to, it's literally woven into their DNA. Over thousands of years, these communities have built up some incredibly unique traditions. Their ancient languages often have dozens of highly specific words just for different types of rain or medicinal roots. And their breathtaking music and art, it's a direct reflection of this close reciprocal relationship with the environment. It's this beautiful, perfect loop of give and take. Families will go out and gather essential everyday resources, things like honey, bamboo, medicinal plants, fruits, seeds, and leaves, just to support their daily lives. But here's the kicker. Guided by generations of traditional knowledge, this harvesting is done completely sustainably. By taking only what they need, they aren't depleting the jungle at all. They're actually helping maintain the health of the entire ecosystem. Section 3. Hotspots of incredible wildlife. Okay, just picture this for a second. A Bengal tiger silently patrolling the dense, shadowy undergrowth of the jungle. It is a true apex predator, moving basically like a ghost. And right alongside that, you have massive Asian elephants traveling these vast, ancient corridors, crossing huge distances just to find food and water. The sheer scale and majesty of these animals moving through the landscape is, well, it's absolutely awe-inspiring. But hey, it's not just the megafauna. The forest floor is this bustling metropolis. You've got elusive leopards, foraging sloth bears, and the massive Indian gore. The underbrush is just stirring with different types of deer and wild boars, while the canopy right above them is completely alive with energetic monkeys and literally hundreds of bird species filling the air with sound. It's a thriving, intensely interconnected web where every single species totally relies on the others. Scientists actually have a term for these critically important areas: biodiversity hotspots. In places like the Western Ghats and Northeast India, the variety of life is just so dense and extraordinary that scientists are literally still discovering entirely new species of plants, insects, amphibians, and reptiles right now. These regions are just living, breathing laboratories of evolution. So that brings us to the big question. Why do these distant forests actually matter to the rest of the world? If you're sitting thousands of miles away from the Western Ghats, why should you care? It's a totally fair question, and it's one we definitely need to answer as we zoom out to look at the macro global impact of these jungles. Section 4. Climate and Medical Lifelines. Think about your own medicine cabinet for a second. A staggering number of the modern medicines we rely on every day are actually derived from compounds that were first discovered in forest plants. These jungles are quite literally nature's pharmacy. So when we protect these forests, we're preserving natural laboratories that could very well hold the cures for diseases we're fighting right now. And the benefits go way beyond just medicine. These forests act as the planet's lungs and its shield. For climate regulation, they absorb massive amounts of carbon dioxide while pumping out fresh oxygen. And for terrain management, they conserve vital topsoil, recharge our crucial groundwater supplies, and severely blunt the impact of things like devastating floods and droughts. They are quite literally keeping the physical earth intact and our climate stable. Section 5. The Fight for Conservation. But the reality here is pretty stark. India's forests are facing an immediate, aggressive onslaught. We're talking rapid deforestation, illegal logging operations, severe habitat fragmentation, widespread pollution, and of course, the ever-present overarching threat of climate change. The pressure on both the wildlife and these incredibly fragile ecosystems is immense, and honestly, it's accelerating rapidly. There is, however, a robust defense in place. India is systematically trying to lock in biodiversity for future generations through a massive, multi-layered network of protections. It starts with establishing sweeping national parks, moves to dedicated wildlife sanctuaries, includes carving out massive tiger reserves specifically to protect those apex predators, and culminates in designating vast biosphere reserves to shield entire interconnected ecosystems. So it really all comes down to this. Forest conservation protects clean air, fresh water, stable climates, and an irreplaceable cultural heritage. It is not just about saving animals, as profoundly important as that is, for sure. It's about preserving an entire interconnected story of survival, balance, and life. When we protect the ecosystem, we're protecting indigenous traditions, future medical breakthroughs, and literally the air we breathe. Protect India's forests. Protect our future. Take a moment to really think about that. Our collective survival is directly linked to places that might be thousands of miles away from you. The question isn't whether we can save these distant, magnificent forests, it's whether we realize that in saving them, we're actually saving ourselves. Thanks for joining me on this explainer, and I'll catch you next time.